In this video, we're going to take a look at this LOKMAT full Android watch that I saw at Temu for $80 something. It says it is both a watch and a phone, and the watch head is detachable and it can be used as a mini phone. So we'll have to see how well it works as a watch and as a phone. Let's unbox it and check it out next to my Pebble time. It's roughly 2¼ inches wide, 2 inches tall, and a little bit over ½ an inch thick. It's noticeably bigger than my Pebble time. Inside the box we got some tweezers. I think this is for the SIM card. Here's a quick start guide with some frequencies that the watch supports. I'm going to be using Helium Mobile's service, which is just T-Mobile. Here's the manual. It says you can scan the QR code if you need other languages. One thing I'm concerned about is there's no app that goes with your actual phone. Here's a description about the hardware layout. We'll just take a look at it later. Alright, I'm going to try it on. It's not obscenely big. It looks a little bit big because my wrist is actually very small, but it's not obscenely big. I can actually live with having this on my wrist. On the back we got some branding. The watch band actually has some nice branding on the clasp. Here's how the release mechanism works. Let's put in my SIM card. It says to put it in this way. All the ports have seals on it. Although the manual doesn't say anything about water resistance, the web page on the Temu site, if you look closely, it does say it's IPX6 rated. That only means it can withstand water splashes, not submersions. Alright, on the top is the SIM tray with the rubber cover. There's the main camera that points forward when you're wearing your watch, and there's a speaker on the top too. This side has the power button and the button that toggles between home and apps. The bottom has the USB Type-C charge ports also covered up, and the microphone. Nothing on this side or the back. There's a recents key, front camera, and the back key on the display. Let's put it back on its base and get it booted up. We have the LOKMAT logo. Now we have this nice animation. And my Helium Mobile, which is on the T-Mobile network, is working. That took about 55 seconds, a little bit under a minute. That's the default watch face that it comes with. It's a little busy for my taste, kind of hard to see what time it is at a glance. Let's first check out the hardware specs according to the hardware device app. It says the name of this device is Maze Speed LOKMAT APPLLP 2 Max. Screen is at 480 by 480 with an MT6739 processor and running Android 11. More information on the screen shows that it's 160 ppi at 60 Hz refresh. RAM shows as having 3 GB LPDDR3. Internal storage has 24.22 GB total. For the camera, it shows 5.3 megapixels for the main one that's pointing out the top of the watch. And the one that faces the user is also 5.3 megapixels. Battery information shows it as 1000 milliamp hours. We have 802.11n Wi-Fi, 5 gigahertz capable. Bluetooth is version 5. This does have full GPS capability with precise location. Now let's go over the watch faces. For the default that it comes with, you just long hold the watch face and you can go into the watch face selection mode just like any other smartwatch. We have this 4-color one with a camera in the middle. This one with a globe and looks like a compass, but it's a clock. Here's a very basic looking analog with a digital inside. Here's your obligatory Apple Watch watch face. Another simple black and white analog watch face. Now we get to some fancy looking gears that's hard to see. This looks like somewhat of an Android launcher. You have sectioned off icons of different sizes. Now we get to some fancy looking gauges and graphical watch faces that's very garish looking, and some of these are very hard to see. So I'm going to go back to this Android launcher looking one. So we got the camera app, music app, and the Google Play Store. Okay, so how well does it function as a smartwatch? Well, we have a tap to wake feature, but not a lift to wake feature. So you have to tap the watch or use the on button on the top right corner. I expected this to have at least lift to wake because lift to wake is already on Android phones. So implementing that on a watch-based Android device should be simple. Notifications are just like an Android phone. You get the audible alert and it also vibrates, but because this is encased in its shell that wraps around your wrist, you really don't feel the vibration much. So you're going to have to rely on the audible tones. So as a smartwatch, in terms of getting your alerts to you on your wrist, it does pretty poorly, not only because you don't have a lift to wake to see the time, you also have a hard time getting notifications unless you're listening for it. And because this is its own phone, it does not get notifications from your primary phone. So you would have to rely on this phone to be your main phone, which I'm not sure people are ready to do because as a phone, it's quite underpowered and limited. Furthermore, this does not have a specific app store for the watch, either for specific apps or for watch faces. And although I personally do not use fitness trackers on my smartwatches, many buyers will. Unfortunately, the only tracker on here is a steps counter. I suppose you could hope that your favorite fitness tracker that you use on your phone works on this small screen because that's all the apps you can have access to. So how about using this as an actual phone? Well, it has all the normal inputs. The top button powers on the display and the bottom button toggles between home and the app screen. To control the volume, you hold the bottom button down and then you get the slider appearing on the screen. On the screen itself, you have your recent apps button and it functions exactly the same as an Android phone. You also get the touchscreen back button. By default, there is no screen lock, but you can set up a PIN or password. And as you can see from the inputs, it's pretty responsive on simple tasks. But going back to the screen lock, I think a pattern screen lock on such a small screen would work better than having to type in a PIN or a password. I would definitely not set up a password, but a PIN would be okay, but I would prefer the pattern. I think that fits this format better. Now let's check out the camera. It's a very basic app. Here's a view from the main camera pointing from the top, and you can toggle that one and the one that's on the screen that faces the user. There's only video or picture mode. And although you can click on the settings, there's really no settings to adjust. The neat thing about this camera on a watch is that you can carry it around, and recording things is more discreet than if you were to hold your phone up to record video. You can pretty much walk around making it look like you're looking at your watch while you're recording your surroundings. Here's a sample of me recording with the watch and the actual video captured on the top right corner. Here are some photo and video samples from various locations. The photos come out to a 2224 pixel by 2224 pixel square. Videos come out to be 720 by 720 at 29 frames per second. Here's my phone test where I call somebody and then I'll call myself and leave myself a voicemail to test the microphone.
Hi, thanks for calling your 24-hour Walgreens at the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Convention Center in Las Vegas. Para continuar en español, oprima 9. How can I help you today?
What are your store hours?
sure. We're
Hey, I'm leaving a message using the Android watch. Hey, I'm using my Android watch to leave you a message. This is non-speakerphone. Hey, I'm leaving a message using the Android watch. Hey, I'm using my Android watch to leave you a message. This is non-speakerphone. The quality of the microphone was actually pretty decent. For battery life, I got about 1 to 2 days depending on what kind of apps I was running. Like I mentioned earlier, you get the full Google Play Store to install your apps. Here's a look at how some common apps and tasks look like and perform. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, YouTube doesn't respond too well, and once you get a video playing, you can't get back to the main screen for some reason. Here's Google Maps. X.com, aka Twitter.
I'm super.
Oh, hey, sorry. Hey, Den of Thieves 2 has theaters on Jack. I talked to a fireman once. This is one of the reasons that freaked me out. And he was telling me, he goes, dude, one day, he goes, it's just going to be the right wind, and the fire's going to start in the right place, and it's going to burn through.
Here's the Chrome browser. Here's how the music app looks like, and you can also pair your Bluetooth headphones to it. Music Olay also works, which is my go-to music app. Google Gemini and Google Assistant needs the latest Google app to be installed. Call the Walgreens in Las Vegas.
For that, you'll need to download the latest version of the Google app.
When you go to install or update the Google app, it says that this phone is not compatible, so you might be missing out on the latest features. The Google Assistant did work for simple tasks, though. What's the weather in Lake Titicaca?
In Lake Titicaca, it's 46 with rain. Today.
Sending text messages is possible with the on-screen keyboard or by using the voice dictation. I can't wait. You can manage files by hooking up directly to your PC or using QuickShare. Although I don't expect to do too much with this low-powered small screen watch, the ad on Temu does claim that it can play games. So here's how some games look like. I tried to run Real Racing from EA, but it froze up at the title screen. So I'm going to try something a little bit simpler called Cut the Rope, which is a puzzle game from back in the days. It actually runs pretty good and is more appropriate for this type of screen and device. And yes, split screen does work if you want to look at something like this through a square screen. Now with the more common apps and tasks shown, how about some more uncommon tasks? Well, like I mentioned, I have a Helium mobile plan and it allows me to earn mobile tokens by using my phone and location to help with their coverage mapping. I got the app installed, but the toggle to enable the mapping would not set on this watch. So it's not possible for me to earn tokens using this Android device. As for Android Auto, I had to install Android Auto from the Google Play Store and Google Maps as it did not come with these installed. But using the default settings, Android Auto did load on my Android head unit, although it came out to be very low resolution at 480p since that's the native resolution of the watch. Activating developer mode and forcing 720p worked, although performance was very choppy and responses to touches were very laggy. It did work, but after a few minutes it crashed. But even if it didn't crash, the lag and response to touches made it unbearable to use. But it was worth a shot. How about USB-C outputting to HDMI and using USB on the go? As you see here, this USB-C to HDMI and OTG adapter is hooked up to my Motorola ThinkPhone and is connected to this monitor. Mouse and video output works. But if I connect it to this Android watch through its USB-C out, nothing works. So how useful is a full Android watch? Not very from what I experienced, at least not from this model. The most useful function I had with this was the ability to get a quick picture taken since the device was on my wrist and I didn't bother with the lock screen. However, as you saw, the photos and video samples were pretty poor quality. As a watch, it lacked all the conveniences like lift to wake and the ability to notify you of your messages from your primary phone. And as a phone, it does not have enough processing or system resources to use it for many modern apps such as Android Auto or modern gaming. If you want just to send messages from your wrist, there are smartwatches that can let you do that while being paired to your primary phone. And those will not look like a huge box strapped onto your wrist. I hope this video helps you decide if something like the LOKMAT Android watch is right for you.